For more than 10 years, parents trusted him with their children. They never suspected he was the man police were desperately hunting. For more than 10 years, Soviet law enforcement searched for the serial offender operating in the Stavropol region. During this time, the man responsible lived openly in society, respected, admired, and trusted. He was not a drifter or an outsider. He was a decorated educator, a public official, and a mentor to children. His name was Anatoly Slivko. To the outside world, Slivko was a model Soviet citizen. He was a master of sports in mountain tourism, a member of the Communist Party, a deputy of the city council, and the director of a children's tourism club. Parents trusted him with their sons. Colleagues praised his discipline and dedication. Children saw him as a guide, a teacher, and a role model. Behind this carefully constructed image, however, was a man who would later be recognized as one of the most disturbing criminals in Soviet criminal history. Anatoly Slivko was born on December 28, 1938, in the small town of Izberbash in Dagestan. His birth was complicated and prolonged, involving serious medical difficulties. According to later expert opinions, these early complications may have had long-term neurological consequences. Throughout his life, Slivko reportedly suffered from chronic headaches and other health issues. As a child, he survived several serious illnesses, including malaria. Despite these challenges, he showed signs of intellectual curiosity at a very early age. He learned to read ahead of his peers and spent long hours immersed in books, often isolating himself from other children. During his early childhood and adolescence, Slivko witnessed several traumatic events. These moments, while not fully understood at the time, later became significant in psychological evaluations. Specialists would eventually conclude that these early experiences played a role in shaping his distorted perception of authority, control, and danger. By his teenage years, Slivko had already been diagnosed with personality-related psychological issues. However, in the Soviet system of the time, such diagnoses rarely led to long-term treatment or monitoring. Instead, he continued his education and gradually integrated into adult life without meaningful intervention. In adulthood, Slivko moved to the industrial city of Nevinomysk. There, he found employment at the Azot chemical plant, a major enterprise in the region. At the same time, he began working with young people, organizing outdoor activities and hiking groups. Eventually, he founded a children's tourism club called Cherje, an abbreviation meaning through rivers, mountains, and seas. The club emphasized discipline, endurance, teamwork, and survival skills. It aligned perfectly with Soviet ideals of physical strength, collective responsibility, and youth development. Slivko proved to be an effective organizer. His methods were strict but structured, and his programs produced results. Under his leadership, the club gained official recognition. He received awards, earned professional titles, and was later granted the honorary status of a distinguished teacher. His public success extended beyond education. Slivko became a member of the Communist Party and was elected as a deputy to the city council. He married, started a family, and had 2 children of his own. To those around him, there were no visible signs of danger. What made Slivko particularly dangerous was not only his actions, but the environment in which he operated. Soviet society placed immense trust in state institutions, educators, and party members. Questioning such individuals was uncommon and often discouraged. Within his club, Slivko exercised near total authority. He understood adolescent psychology well and knew how to earn trust, admiration, and obedience. Discipline was strict, and minor rule violations were often met with symbolic penalties. Under the guise of character building exercises, endurance tests, or educational filming projects, Slivko introduced increasingly risky scenarios. These activities were presented as secret challenges or exclusive opportunities, framed as something special, meaningful, and important. Over time, the consequences of these so called experiments became increasingly severe. Between 1974 and 1985, 7 boys between the ages of 10 and 16 lost their lives as a result of Slivko's actions. In several cases, the victims were described as troubled or frequently absent from home, which tragically reduced the urgency of official investigations. Some children survived encounters with him, but were either unable to fully understand what had happened or were too afraid to speak. Those who did try to tell adults were often not believed. Slivko's reputation, combined with a lack of physical evidence, shielded him from suspicion. In certain cases, Slivko even participated in search efforts for missing children, further reinforcing his image as a concerned and responsible mentor. What law enforcement did not know at the time was that Slivko meticulously documented aspects of his activities. He kept journals, photographs, and video recordings, which he concealed in a hidden compartment within his office. In late 1985, investigators finally received information that led them to Slivko. On December 28, 1985, his birthday, he was arrested. During the search of his office, authorities discovered a concealed cache beneath the floor. Inside were materials that directly connected him to the deaths of multiple children. Faced with this evidence, Slivko confessed. The investigation revealed that over the course of more than a decade, approximately 40 children and teenagers had been drawn into his so-called tests and experiments. The scale of the case shocked both investigators and the public. The trial took place in June 1986. Given the severity and number of crimes, Slivko was sentenced to the highest possible punishment under Soviet law. Throughout his imprisonment, he repeatedly submitted appeals for clemency. He also wrote letters expressing remorse to his family. None of these appeals were granted. On September 16, 1989, the sentence was carried out at a prison in Novocherkassk. On the day of his execution, Slivko was briefly consulted by investigators working on another high-profile case involving a different serial offender. His advice proved entirely ineffective and did not assist in the capture of Andrei Chikatilo. The case of Anatoly Slivko remains a chilling example of how trust, authority, and reputation can be exploited. It exposed serious flaws in oversight, institutional accountability, and the assumption that respected figures are beyond suspicion. More than anything, it serves as a reminder that vigilance, transparency, and the willingness to question appearances are essential, especially when the safety of children is involved.